Shrimad's Divine Grace, founder of ISKCON, Abhay Charanadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Granted Shrimadbhagavatam ki. Their most merciful Lordship Shri Shrimadkunja Bihari ki. Shri Jagannath Shri Baladeva Subhadra ki. Shri Nataji Shri Balagopal ki. Shri Vanitai ki. Hitai Go Preman. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Lord and Spirit of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devam Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayamudiraya. Astaprayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistaki. Reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 11, which is quite long, which has a quite long purport. Tad Bhag Visargo Janaragha Janaraghe. Oh, where is it? Maybe I get my other glasses. See, every knowledge is supposed to increase with age. But the use of the eyes, it don't get any better.
Get worse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, worse is right. Oh. Where were you? Visargo, Janataga, Viplavo, Tadvag Visargo, Janataga, Viplavo, Yasmin, Rati, Shlokam, Abadhavati, Api, Yasmin Rati Shlokam Abadhavati Api, Namani, Anantasya, Yaso. So it would be Sonkitani, Yat, Namani Anantasya Yasontakanti, Yat. Sorry.
Namani Anantasya Yasontakanti,
I didn't say that right. Namani Anantasya Yasonikatani, Yat.
Namani
That's better. Shrinvanti, Gayanti, Grinanti, Sadhava, Shrinvanti, Gayanti, Grinanti, Sadhava, Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo, Yasmin Prati Shlokam Abhadavatyapi, Namani Anantasya Yasonikantani, Shrinvanti Gayanti Grinanti Sadhava, Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo, Yasmin Prati Shlokam Abhadavatyapi, Namani Anantasya Yasanikantani, Shrinvanti Gayanti Grinanti Sadhava, It's a tough one, so I'm going to say it again. Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo, Yasmin Prati Shlokam Abhadavatyapi, Namani Anantasya Yasonkitani, Shrinvanti Gayanti Grinanti Sadhava, Peace, yeah.
Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo,
Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo,
Yasmin Prati Shlokam Abhadavatyapi,
Yasmin Prati Shlokam Abhadavatyapi,
Namanyanantasya Yasonkitani,
Namani Anantasya Yasonkitani,
Shrinvanti Gayanti Grinanti Sadhava,
Shrinvanti Gayanti Grinanti Sarava
Tadva Visargo Janatadha Viplavo
Tadbhakti Sargo Janataga Viplavo
Yasmin Prati Slokam Abadhavati Api
Yasmin Prati Shlokam Abhadyavatyapi
Namani Anankasya Yaso Nikitanya
Namanyanantasya Yason Kintaniyat
Shrimadbhagavatam Gayanti Vinati Sadhava
Shrinvanti Gayanti Grinanti Sadava Tadbhakti Sargo Janataga Viplavo Yasmin Prati Shlokam Abhadyavatyapi Namanyanantasya Yaso Nikantyat Shrinvanti Gayanti Grinanti Sadava Tat that Vak vocabulary Visarga creation Janata the people in general Aga sin Viplava revolutionary Yasmin in which Prati Shlokam each and every stanza Abhadavati irregularly composed Api in spite of Namani transcendental names etc. Anantasya of the unlimited Lord. Ayasa glories. Ankitani depicted. Yat what? Shrinvanti do hear. Gayanti do sing. Grinanti do accept. Sadava the perfected man who are honest.
the purified man who are honest.
Sorry, the purified men who are honest, yes. Tadbhag visargo janagruttaga viplavo yasmin prati shlokam abhadavatyapi namanyanantasya yason kitaniyat shrinvanti gayanti grinanti sadava. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed toward bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Please repeat. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc. of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words, directed toward bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord, is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed toward bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Purport by His Divine Grace of Acharnadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Wish we had more light here a little bit. It is a qualification of the great Jai Shishirada Kanjabiyari Jai Digana Jai Baladev Manisabhadra Jai Shishigunitai. It is a qualification of the great thinkers to pick up the best, even from the worst. It is said that the intelligent man should pick up nectar from a stock of poison, should accept gold even from a filthy place, should accept a good and qualified wife even from an obscure family, and should accept a good lesson even from a man or from a teacher who comes from the untouchables. These exceptions, but a saint is far above the level of an ordinary man. He is always absorbed in glorifying the Supreme Lord, because by broadcasting the holy name and fame of the Supreme Lord, the polluted atmosphere of the world will change. And as a result of propagating the transcendental literatures like Shrimadbhagavatam, people will become sane in their transactions. The implication is right now they're insane. While preparing this commentation on this particular stanza of Shrimadbhagavatam, we have a crisis before us. Our neighboring friend China has attacked the border of India with a militaristic spirit. Prabhu, this was written way back when. Srila Prabhupada wrote this in the 60s. Right. Now this is going on right now today as well. Wow. We have practically no business in the political field, yet we see that previously there were both China and India, and they both lived peacefully for centuries without ill feeling. The reason is that they lived those days in an atmosphere of God consciousness, and every country over the surface of the world was God-fearing, pure-hearted, and simple. And there was no question of political diplomacy. There's no cause of quarrel between the two countries. China and India overland, which is not very suitable for habitation, and certainly there is no cause for fighting on this issue. But due to the age of quarrel, Kali, which we have discussed, there's always a chance of quarrel on slight provocation. This is due not to the issue in question, but to the polluted atmosphere of this age. Systematically, there is propaganda by a section of people to stop glorification of the name and fame of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, there is a great need for disseminating the message of Shrimadbhagavatam all over the world. It is the duty of every responsible Indian to broadcast the transcendental message of Shrimadbhagavatam throughout the world, to do all the supermost good, as well as to bring about the desired peace in the world. Because India has failed in her duty by neglecting this responsible work, there is so much quarrel and trouble all over the world. We are confident that if the transcendental message of Srimad Bhagavatam is received only by the leading men of the world, certainly there will be a change of heart, and naturally the people in general will follow them. The mass of people in general are tools in the hands of the modern politicians and leaders of the people. If there is a change of heart in the leaders only, certainly there will be a radical change in the atmosphere of the world. We know that our honest attempt to present this great literature conveying transcendental messages for reviving the God consciousness of the people in general and re-spiritualizing the world atmosphere is fraught with many difficulties. Our presenting this matter in adequate language, especially foreign language, will certainly fail, and there will be so many literary discrepancies despite our honest attempt to present it in the proper way. But we are sure that with all our faith in this connection, the seriousness of the subject matter will be taken into consideration, and the leaders of society will still accept this due to its being an honest attempt to glorify the Almighty God. When there is fire in a house, the inmates of the house go out to get help from the neighbors who may be foreigners, and yet, without knowing the language, the victims of the fire express themselves, and the neighbors understand the need, even though not expressed in the same language. The spirit of cooperation is needed to broadcast this transcendental message of the Srimad Bhagavatam throughout the polluted atmosphere of the world. After all, it is a technical science of spiritual values, and thus we are concerned with the techniques and not with the language. If the techniques of this great literature are understood by the people of the world, there will be success. When there are too many materialistic activities by people in general all over the world, there is no wonder that a person or a nation attacks another person or nation on slight provocation. Excuse me. That is the rule of this age of Kali, or quarrel. The atmosphere is already polluted with corruption of all description, and everyone knows it well. There are so many unwanted literatures full of materialistic ideas of sense gratification. In many countries, there are bodies appointed by the state to detect and censor obscene literature. This means that neither the government nor the responsible leaders of the public want such literatures, yet it is in the marketplace because the people want it for sense gratification. The people in general want to read that is a natural instinct. But because their minds are polluted, they want such literatures. Under the circumstances, transcendental literatures like Shrimadbhagavatam will not only diminish the activities of the corrupt minds of the people in general, but also it will supply food for their hankering after reading some interesting literature. In the beginning, they may not like it because one suffering from jaundice is reluctant to take sugar candy. It tastes bitter when you have jaundice. But we should know that sugar candy is the only remedy for jaundice. Similarly, let there be systematic propaganda for popularizing reading of the Bhagavad Gita and the Shrimadbhagavatam, which will act like sugar candy for the jaundice-like condition of sense gratification. When men have a taste for this literature, the other literatures, which are catering poison to society, will then automatically cease. We are sure, therefore, that everyone in human society will welcome Srimad Bhagavatam, even though it is now presented with so many faults. For it is recommended by Sri Narad, who has very kindly appeared in this chapter. Om Jnana Timarandasya Granjana Shalagaya Chakshusum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. So, in effect, I have to give you a purport of the purport. So, see, this very scripture, how do we have God Himself revealing through a scripture that His very own words can be spoken somewhat, misusing the language, with language that is somewhat foreign. So Srila Prabhupada, see, this is also, if we can see, pertinent to Srila Prabhupada's giving of Bhagavatam to the world. He gave that in a completely different language from his own common language, right? And then, what to speak? Taking from a language that is not common to any nation in the world, the Sanskrit language, and then putting it into that language which was not his common language, English. Also having to create this alphabet of transliteration for us to be able to, in English, be able, and this very verse of Bhagavatam itself is revealing Srila Prabhupada's acts and the act he took up upon putting this sacred language into form that could be understood by the general public. Now, after years and years and years of devotees, wanting to make this the perfect English form, because it is wanting, as revealed here, to be presented to the highest leaders of the world. So, nevertheless, Krishna's teachings are meant for everyone in the world. And as is brought out in this very chapter, that in times past, for the most part, the world was in unison in their beliefs of God. Now, because of languages causing divisions amongst the people in their understanding of one another's, they have come to believe that somebody else's stories about God are just legends. They're not the real thing. They're like cartoons that people made up in their minds. Yeah. So you have the Greek so-called gods. You have the Roman so-called gods. And like this, societies, the Norse gods, societies have themselves, by their own relationships that have developed, given themselves reason to believe that they're different from everybody else. And in the most parts with false ego, giving us the belief that we are better than everybody else. And see, the intended conclusion of the scriptures is to make us better people than we are. But in that process, Shrimadbhagavatam reveals that in becoming better people, we exalt others above ourselves. We lift others up. This is what Krishna does. He lifts his devotee up above himself. Srimad, we say, Radha Krishna. We don't say Krishna Radha. We say Radha Krishna. Why? It would seem that she's in a lesser place than him, but he exalts her above himself. So this is humility. And we have to learn humility for the false ego to be broken. So this also is being brought out about how come there's so much disturbance in the world. So see, as we read Shrimadbhagavatam, this is the most sacred literature I have ever seen in the world. Somebody else can show me something better. And still, it is revealing to us the fact that devotees involve themselves with politics, not because of their desire to control, not because of their desire to become famous or anything of that nature, as because society needs to be put in order for them to be able to have peace of mind. And they are so much involving themselves with those activities, they cause themselves disturbances. So as I've been talking about with all the devotees, I'm getting ideas about the perfect city, right? So if we separate society into groups that are already itself separating itself into the Baptists, the Presbyterians, the Lutherans, the atheists, we put each of them in a different city, you know what's going to happen? Those cities without God are going to have the same chaos. They're going to have the same chaos that the world is experiencing now. And so it would be very easy to see. Because what would happen? You go into a devotee city, right? What are they doing? Everybody's singing and dancing, and those that are not, they're outside giving books to the world, teaching the world about how to sing and dance and be happy. So, it's difficult to know. I was also contemplating, and I've been contemplating lately, how to get more people on the internet involved with us, right? Mm-hmm. So, here is, with every headline a newspaper reporter creates, he hopes in his mind to be able to create words that will attract and provoke the imagination of the person reading it to be able to read, right? Mm-hmm. So, we have been told that reading Shrimadbhagavatam gives self-realization to the soul. So on the internet, we could put on our webpage, self-realization. Guaranteed.
Okay.
Here's the website. Read it from beginning to end. There's one, you know. But we're only going to attract those people who are interested in self-realization, isn't it? You're going to find somebody wanting to do Hatha Yoga, thinking about self-realization. They want to do Hatha Yoga. So see, in our minds, wanting to give this treasure that we have to the world, all of us can come up with those various attractive aspects of Krishna consciousness that we have found that people like us will also find attractive. So if we have on our website, let's say another person has attraction towards wanting to know the mysteries that there are in life, that the majority of people in life never come to find out about, then we attract that by using the term mysterious to attract that mindset. So the pure mindset that is described by Krishna as wanting to come to him, because there's four kinds of people attracted to Krishna. The destitute, that means those who have had everything taken away from them. They got nowhere else to turn. They find themselves calling out to God. So then there are people who are actually sincerely looking for truth. And so they turn to God. There are those who are looking after well-being or prosperity, wealth, and they turn to God. And then there's another class of people who actually want to know God as a person. So these people who come to God for that reason are the highest, right? And they are the ones that will benefit the most. Just like a sponge. A sponge is made out of different material. And there's living sponges that live in the ocean, that when used to absorb water, these sponges that live in the ocean, it appears as though they can absorb more water than they themselves have the content to do that with. But you take one of these fabricated things, they hold, about this amount you would think they could hold a cup or two, in a little handful. These sponges like that, these big round sponges, they all look like a gallon or so of water, and they're only occupying a little space. So similarly, with one who is coming to God with the hope of knowing God, they're like that sponge, able to absorb the totality more so. And so Krishna then reveals by making this statement, this is the most confidential knowledge. And when he gives us that hint, it is to let us know that there is more to be known in the statements from the first observation than what appears to the senses of our minds that have been conditioned. And so he wants to make it personal so that we can get the inside revelations, which is a constant giving of Krishna to the soul that is in constant seeking of him. Because that longing for Krishna that Srila Prabhupada is bringing out in the purport here, that is food, the soul, the hunger the soul has. It's an eternal, it's fully satisfied while at the same time it's wanting more. It's like the beauty Shrimati Radharani sees in Krishna's face is so much attracting her to it that it is the most absorbing experience that can be had by anyone. And yet, not only is it fully satisfying, but it is giving her that desire to have more of it simultaneously. Fully satisfying and creating with us a desire to have as much of it as we can get. That's love, too. That's how love is. It's in its purest state. Fully satisfying, yet so substantially rewarding an experience it is. We just want to have it fill us all the time. And that's what humanity at large is lacking. In all their misunderstandings of what pain and suffering they are creating. They are creating. So the devotee not being controlled by the modes of material energy, completely free from that being created by people's own acts. Because now that you're governed and controlled by the energy of Krishna, that energy is going to bring you to the complete perfection of human life. That will be free from the control of the modes and material energy, that will enable you to be a human being that can make your own decisions, not based on the drivings of the senses of the body, based on knowledge of God. What you do with your life now is based on what you know to be, that you have to do in service to Krishna. And that Krishna will give you guidance through the Guru, and you will then perfect it through your adherence to the Guru's guidance. And your life was this time chosen to be the last one you have to spend here. You'll be free forever in that bhakti we can know and taste here now. And that can be forever and ever with Krishna. So whatever we have to do, though, we might have to work in the world. Some of us might have to go out. But our perspective towards what it is, as far as our function as being a human being in service towards Krishna, then we can come to a full realization of it. And maybe in later future years, we can separate ourselves more so from the material energy. That's what Krishna consciousness is about. It doesn't happen overnight, although it can happen in a moment. We can become Krishna's servant and his eternal servant and realize of that in a moment. But we have our attachments we have to get rid of. And so that takes time. The more attached we are, the longer it'll take. It's just like the chanting. The more chanting we do, the less time it'll take. The more we will come closer and closer to perfection as we continue this process with Krishna himself. I'm wondering if, because we are having class regularly now, and we feel somewhat averse to making people in the immediate neighborhood, those members that we would want to invite to become full-time living in our ashram like that, but no reason why we can't send out invitations to free class every morning, 8 a.m. And then give details about what benefits there would be by coming to this class. And we could also share, if we get devotees to agree, then we could offer prasadam for a donation as well, and include on the invitation. Just go and drop it in people's mailboxes, You live a block away from the Hare Krishna temple and you've never seen the insides of it, and you've never known the benefit that we have to offer. This kind of an invitation, And if we see 10, 15, 20 people coming, we can know that it's having some effect. Our preaching is having a good effect. My thought is, in my opinion, these people that we have found now to do this work, we found some of the best people ever to do work on the temple. They're really doing an immaculate job. They know how to protect everything from getting overspray and all this stuff. And we would do well to make a nice cheesecake before they tell us how much they want for it.
There you go. Let it be
Because,
so.
see, when we used to preach, we go to the state fair, right? Before we went to the state fair, we would send a cheesecake. The devotee would go to the management over there, explain to them that we want to come in. Although, before that was arranged, Mahamuni, he was in charge of Sankirtan. And he would call up the place and say, look, we're going to come here to practice our religious practices that we have the right to do at the state fair to take donations from the general public. If you don't want us to do that, he'd say, I can call up devotees from every state in the United States and have them come and we'll sing and dance. So they would agree that we could come there and distribute our literature. But before we would go, a devotee would bring a cheesecake. We did the same thing at the airport. And by that, we created a rapport amongst them. While they're eating the cheesecake, they're talking about where the cheesecake came from. Wow, this is really good stuff, you know. And so we create a relationship with people that they begin to recognize us, not only as nice people, but in our interactions with them, we share concepts that are so foreign to their minds that give them a refreshing breath of philosophical air. You know? Philosophical air is that air that cleans the mind of the troubling things it's putting itself through and gives it a breath of life that the soul is. We are life. And the truth that we are is that life to be revealed by the activities we engage in Krishna consciousness. So as we live our lives, we reveal what truth is. We reveal what a human being is supposed to be. By all these engagements of activities that we think are just normal activities, because you're doing it with a pure heart. You're not getting anything in return for this materially, right? So we can say honestly, you're not serving Krishna because you're thinking you're going to get something from him in return. You're serving him because you want to please Krishna. That's pure devotional service. And if we can develop that 24/7, 24 hours a day, thinking like that, what do you want me to do next, Krishna? And see what the value of moving in the temple is. Jagakuru, Srinan, they work together. They give us a schedule. So you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to, what do I have to do? What am I going to do now? When you're living on your own, apart from the temple, you got to figure your own stuff out. It's like the Bible says, every man works out his own salvation with fear and trembling. Because we can't figure out our own lives as well as those who have come before us and also lived the life that we're trying to come to the standards of. So Srila Prabhupada already did all these activities that we're trying to ourselves become perfected in. And so we can follow his example. 10 after 9? No, it's 9:15. That's the second year. Okay, it's only 9:15, so we got a few more minutes. Anyone like to contribute anything? Some realizations? Are you getting realizations every day? Are you getting experience of nectar when you chant, right? At least it's a relief from all the troubles the mind has to be put through in the material world, right? And you got to interact with people who have no experience of love, the power of God, presence of God, then they're troubled. And they don't know they're troubled. They're taking the constant forces of nature that are caused by karma, that are constantly upon them, nagging them in the form of these material senses. I want this, I want that, and you got to do this to go get that. And they don't know it. They don't know they're living as slaves to their own physical senses. Their mind creates the slavery that they're entrapped by, that will keep them in that cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. Feed my tongue, satisfy my eyes, satisfy my ears. This is all a false ego. And when we come to find that God is the source of happiness, then when we turn that direction, we are aiming our senses towards finding satisfaction, towards prasadam, towards studying the books, towards sharing association with each other. All these things, doing everything in our life that we do for the satisfaction, the fulfillment of the promotion of the books and the knowledge and the love. Then that experience of happiness will be so much greater. And we will find so much more happiness and satisfaction with ourselves and freeing ourselves from the activities that would otherwise be causing us suffering and pain and more karma. What a wonderful life Krishna consciousness is to just have these realizations, you know, of how free Krishna is giving us the ability to become, to be able to be free moral agents, and be able to make choices not based on some driving, like an addiction. Even food, you know, food forces you have to live, you have to continue your existence here. But even with those things that we do require, if our aim in finding pleasure from that is due to the fact that we are doing it for Krishna. Now, we're not doing anything for ourselves anymore. If we can keep that consciousness, then we will find the happiness in the result of our lives. People have careers, and if those careers only make for them to have another career after this life, it's not the best career to have. We want the eternal situation, station. I was thinking, you know, no temples that I know of, since Indra left, in Vrindavan, Indra, he was actually as close to 24/7 as you're going to get. He had a harmonium, and he sat at that temple in front of Krishna's lotus feet, practically speaking, 24 hours a day. He was just there, singing, chanting. He wanted to start a gopi club, because, you know, in every temple, there's a group of devotees, probably about 10 to 15, that are included in having to personally take care of the deities, dressing them, bathing them, waking them, putting them to rest, all these activities. And so these are all activities that are the dearmost activities that the gopis engage in. They come to visit Krishna. That Mother Yasoda lets them feed him, bathe him, dress him, do all these activities. And so we are being given the same valuable service to realize. And so Indra Prabhu wanted to start a gopi club with that mentality, that those devotees would realize, you know, the service that Krishna is giving us and how it is related. But see, then there's the tendency as well to become familiar and then not put the gopis, not realize how elevated the gopis are. In all of this universe, how many souls you think there are in this entire universe? And how many of them have reached a place as close with Krishna as these 108 gopis? They are the purest souls. The Bible, you read the Bible about it, it describes a point in the leaving of their bodies of, 144,000 virgins. Is that what the number is? Or was it 144,000 virgins, right? But that's talking about all time, for all the existence of there having been some contact of God with humanity. Then out of that completeness came 144,000 virgins. Virgins mean untouched from the material atmosphere. So these also are souls that we're learning. Some, rarely, come from the spiritual world, and now, see, we are being exposed so fully, like a sponge being dumped in water. You can wet it that way, or you can take a little bit of water from the faucet. But see, what we get exposed to in Krishna consciousness, we get a full exposure of everything. You're coming right in contact with God himself. And it's so easy to take it as it's normal. Isn't it? Yeah. Like anybody can do it. But it's not ordinary. Yeah. What we are being given the facility to be able to engage in is not a normal activity. And in all this state of Michigan that we live in, there are very few people chosen to be able to have this privilege of Krishna consciousness and exposure like we're getting. And see, Krishna is revealing through all the time of history for us to come in contact now and be born at such a time is predetermined by Krishna himself. You are very special souls to Krishna. For you to have come in contact with this movement at this time, it is described. You've seen little tiny turtles, right, like that? Mm-hmm. Of course, in the ocean there's big turtles. But figure a little tiny turtle in the ocean, how small he is, and a little tiny piece of driftwood that floats atop the ocean, the entirety of the ocean, one little tiny piece of driftwood. Now, a turtle needs air. So he has to come up every once in a while for a breath of air. And every place that turtle would have to be able to choose where to come up for a breath of air in the ocean, he chooses that one little tiny spot in the knot hole of that piece of driftwood. It's the same chances the soul has of being born at such a time as we have been born in this age, to have come in contact with these transcendental literatures. It is rare indeed. So now we got to do everything we can to take full advantage of the great opportunity being given to us. It's the greatest opportunity that I've seen that human life has to offer us. We're very fortunate souls, the most fortunate in the universe. With Krishna.
How many Hare Krishnas are there in the world?
More than 1 million now.
How many you
It's hard to know because when Srila Prabhupada left the planet, it was said there were 10,000 disciples. So now, if those 10,000 disciples have affected even 10, that's 100,000 people. But then to make devotees, with the amount of spreading is gone, when they need 10,000 just for Russia alone in Mayapur. So everyone that makes it to Mayapur, you know there's at least 10 to 100 people back at home that didn't make it there, right? So if there's 10,000 devotees out of Russia making it to Mayapur, and if it's difficult to get a ticket here under the working economical standards that we have in the United States, imagine what it's like in Russia. And yet they get 10,000 devotees from Russia coming to Mayapur in India. So, and see, this is bringing out too how at one time China, Russia, they all had good relations with each other. And it is this Krishna consciousness that can do that again. With China printing Bhagavad Gita, there is going to be a good effect that's going to have on the world. But in time, the leaders have to be replaced. See, government functions like a machine, right? So,
government functions like what?
a machine. Like the body functions like a machine, right? So, most machines, in order to be worked on, they can't be running. They have to be stopped. That's what has to happen with all these machines in the world. They'll be shut down and reestablished. Yeah. The world has to be spiritualized with new understanding of what government is, new understanding of what it means to be a human being. All these things. So when mankind is brought to that place of knowing that, then the only laws that need to be made, the 10 offenses against the holy name. When those are the laws of mankind, then there won't be any crime. The 10 offenses, when everybody knows those 10 offenses, when everybody knows Shikshastakam, and when everybody's chanting it around, when everybody's reading Shrimadbhagavatam, what a wonderful world this would be. You know that song? Oh, that's another one as well. That's another melody, the same words though. What a wonderful world this could be. Some of these are love songs. But when applied to Krishna, you can chant the Maha Mantra. It said, there are no hard and fast rules, while simultaneously there are rules. But hard and fast means there's a place and a time for everything. We chant in front of Krishna. There are certain melodies that are said by Srila Prabhupada that we should keep. We don't just sing, the Maha Mantra to the birthday tune like we do when we're worshiping Krishna. But when we're outside and we're preaching, according to time and circumstance. If you go amongst a bunch of rock and rollers, you're going to speak their lingo, Hey, bro, what's up?
Yeah, exactly.
When you go amongst a group of architects or like that, you talk to them about the beauty in the architecture. When you go amongst a bunch of doctors, you reveal the Ayurveda, how supreme. We have everything. We have the perfection of every science is here with us in our consciousness to be retrieved by Krishna in us, to give it to us, to give it to them who need it. We don't need all these forms of government amongst ourselves if we perform the functions of devotional service. Government and laws are given to those who break them.
Yeah.
To keep them from breaking them.
Yeah.
And so amongst those are the children in the house who are following what is being said. There's no laws needed to be even known. It's just love. The law of love. Love your neighbors, you love yourself, you do that, you're following everything else, isn't it? If we just follow the laws of love. Love, yeah.
All we need, that's all.
All we need is love. Yeah. That's the Beatles, yeah. That's all they needed. That's all we needed. Radharaj Shrimadbhagavatam, Gita, Book of Love. This is the Book of Love. Srila Prabhupada, Krishna's Book of Love.
Thank you.
Yeah.